The October rain drummed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Morrison and Associates' 32nd floor, its droplet catching the amber glow of Chicago's evening lights. I adjusted my navy blazer for the third time, watching the city blur through the glass as I tried to calm my nerves. The quarterly reports spread across my mahogany desk told a story I'd been crafting for months. Our digital marketing division had exceeded projections by 43%, largely due to the campaign strategies I'd developed. "Marcus, you ready for tonight?" Sarah Chen, my closest colleague, poked her head into my office. Her usually immaculate bob was slightly disheveled from the humidity, and she carried 2 steaming cups of coffee from the break room. "As ready as I'll ever be," I replied, accepting the coffee gratefully. The bitter warmth felt good against my palms. 3 years of building this department, and tonight, Richardson finally has to acknowledge what we've accomplished. Sarah settled into the leather chair across from my desk, her expression cautious. "Just be careful how you approach him tonight. You know how he gets at these company events." I knew exactly what she meant. James Richardson, our 50-something executive director, had a talent for making public displays of his authority, especially when he'd been drinking. The man had inherited his position from his father-in-law and treated the company like his personal kingdom. For the past 18 months, he'd been taking credit for my innovations while simultaneously undermining my authority in front of clients. "Look at these numbers, Sarah." I turned my laptop screen toward her, highlighting the revenue charts. "We've brought in $2.7 million in new business this quarter alone. The Hartwell campaign I designed is being used as a case study at Northwestern's business school." "How can he possibly ignore that? 'Cause he's Richardson," she said, softly, stirring her coffee absently. "Marcus, I've been here longer than you. I've seen him destroy careers over less." Through my office window, I could see the grand ballroom of the Palmer House Hilton across downtown, where tonight's annual company gala would unfold. The event was Richardson's pride and joy, a chance to show off to clients, investors, and industry peers. It was also where he traditionally announced promotions and handed out recognition awards. My phone buzzed with a text from my girlfriend. "Lisa, break a leg tonight, baby. You deserve this promotion more than anyone. Can't wait to celebrate with you later." Smiled, thinking of her infectious optimism.
What?
Lisa worked as a pediatric nurse at Children's Memorial, and her faith in people's basic goodness was both refreshing and sometimes naive. She'd been encouraging me to stand up to Richardson for months, convinced that talent and hard work always won in the end. "You know what?" I said, closing my laptop with conviction. "I'm done playing it safe. I've got documentation of everything. I've accomplished testimonials from clients and results that speak for themselves. If Richardson wants to keep treating me like some junior associate, he's going to have to explain why to a room full of industry leaders." Sarah's expression grew more concerned. "Marcus, please think about this. Your mortgage, your future with Lisa. ... Is this really the hill you want to die on?" Before I could respond, my office door swung open without a knock. Richardson strode, in his silver hair perfectly styled, and his custom-tailored tuxedo fitting his stocky frame impeccably. His call on something expensive and overwhelming filled the small space immediately. "Peterson," he said, not acknowledging Sarah, "I need you to handle the client meet and greet tonight. Smile, shake hands, make small talk. Leave the real business discussions to me." The casual dismissal stung, but I kept my voice level. "Actually, Mr. Richardson, I was hoping we could discuss the Hartwell campaign results and the new client acquisitions. I have some strategic recommendations for her. That's not your job, Peterson." His voice carried that condescending tone I'd grown to hate. "Your job is to execute the strategies I develop. Let's not confuse roles here." Sarah stood up, clearly uncomfortable. "I should get going. The driver will be here soon." After she left, Richardson fixed me with a look that I'd seen him use on countless other employees. "Good at what you do. But good isn't the same as irreplaceable. Tonight, just focus on being presentable and professional. Can you handle that?" Every instinct told me to push back, to demand the recognition I'd earned. Instead, I nodded. "Of course, Mr. Richardson. It's good. And Marcus." He paused at the door. "Wear the navy suit. It makes you look less ambitious." After he left, I sat in my office for another 20 minutes, watching the rain streak down the windows. The city lights blurred into watercolor smears, and I found myself thinking about my father. He'd worked 40 years at the same steel mill in Gary, Indiana, never complaining, never asking for more than what he was given. Keep your head down and do good work, he'd always said. That's how you build a life. But keeping my head down hadn't gotten me anywhere. Richardson had made that abundantly clear. My phone rang, jolting me from my thoughts. Marcus Peterson. Marcus, it's David Hartwell. The voice belonged to our biggest client, a real estate mogul whose portfolio included half of downtown Chicago. I wanted to catch you before the gala tonight. I've been telling everyone about that campaign you designed for us. It's absolutely brilliant work. Thank you, Mr. Hartwell. I'm glad it's been effective. Effective? Son, you've revolutionized how we think about market positioning. In fact, I've been meaning to discuss something with you. Are you happy at Morrison Associates? The question caught me off guard. Yes, sir. Why do you ask? Because I've got some opportunities opening up, and I think you'd be perfect. Let's talk tonight, after the formal presentations. I have a feeling you're ready for bigger things. After hanging up, I stared at my reflection in the dark window. Maybe Sarah was right to be cautious. Maybe I should just smile, shake hands, and keep my mouth shut. But David Hartwell's words echoed in my mind, ready for bigger things. I gathered my things, straightened my tie one final time, and headed for the elevator. The lobby was bustling with employees heading home or preparing for the evening's festivities. The security guard, Mike, gave me his usual friendly wave. Big night tonight. Mr. Peterson, you clean up nice? Thanks, Mike. Wish me luck. You don't need luck, sir. You got talent? That's better than luck any day. His words stayed with me as I walked through the revolving doors and into the Chicago evening. The rain had stopped and the city sparkled with possibility. Michigan Avenue stretched before me, lined with luxury shops and restaurants, filled with people pursuing their dreams and ambitions. I caught a cab to my apartment in Lincoln Park, needing to change and collect my thoughts before the gala. The ride gave me time to think about the past 3 years, the long hours, the innovative campaigns, the client meetings where Richardson took credit for my ideas while I sat silently beside him. Lisa was waiting when I got home, already dressed, in a stunning black evening gown that made her look like she belonged on a red carpet. Her blonde hair was pinned up elegantly, and her smile could have powered half the city. There's my future creative director, she said, kissing me as I walked through the door. You don't know that yet, I cautioned, but her optimism was infectious. Marcus Thompson, you've worked harder than anyone deserves what's coming tonight. I can feel it. As I changed into my best suit, the navy one Richardson had requested, I caught myself hoping she was right. But a nagging voice in the back of my mind whispered that hope might not be enough. The Palmer House. Hilton's Grand Ballroom was a testament to Chicago's gilded age crystal chandeliers, cast warm light over marble columns, while hundreds of guests mingled beneath ornate ceiling frescoes. The autumn evening had drawn the city's business elite. I recognized faces from Forbes, Covers, and Tribune. Business sections scattered throughout the crowd. Lisa squeezed my hand as we entered, her excitement palpable. This is incredible. Marcus, you belong here. I wished I felt as confident as she sounded. We made our way to the cocktail reception, where servers circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. The atmosphere was electric with the kind of networking energy that only came when Chicago's most influential business leaders gathered in one place. Marcus. David Hartwell approached with a wide smile, his silver beard impeccably groomed and his handshake firm. I've been looking forward to continuing our conversation. Mr. Hartwell, good to see you. This is my girlfriend, Lisa Martinez. Pleasure. To meet you, Lisa. Marcus, I meant what I said earlier. I've been watching your work, not just on our campaign, but across the industry. You've got something special, son. Lisa beamed beside me, clearly proud to hear such praise. Before I could respond, Richardson materialized beside us, his smile bright but his eyes calculating. David, I see you've met our young associate, Marcus. He's been quite helpful in implementing the strategies we developed for your portfolio. The casual revision of history made my jaw clench, but I kept my expression neutral. Hartwell, however, raised an eyebrow. Implementing strategies. Hartwell's voice carried a note of amusement. James, I think you're being modest. Marcus here conceived and executed the entire campaign from the ground up. The market research, the demographic analysis, the creative direction, all his work. Richardson's smile faltered slightly, but he recovered quickly. Well, of course, the team collaborates on everything. But the strategic vision, the overall direction, that's what leadership provides. Lisa's grip on my arm tightened. Even she could sense the tension building. Is that so? Hartwell's gaze shifted between us, clearly picking up on the undercurrent. Marcus, I'd love to hear your perspective on the market trends we discussed, particularly your thoughts on the millennial housing market. For the next 15 minutes, I outlined my analysis of demographic shifts, urban development patterns, and the emerging preferences of younger buyers. Hartwell listened intently, occasionally nodding or asking pointed questions that demonstrated his sophisticated understanding of the market. Lisa watched the conversation with growing admiration. Seeing me in my element for perhaps the first time, Richardson stood beside us, his jaw tightening with each passing minute. I could see the calculation in his eyes. He was losing control of the narrative. It was happening in front of one of our most important clients.
That's fascinating,
Hartwell said finally.
I'd like you to consider joining my team.
I'm expanding into new markets, and I need someone with your vision and analytical skills. The compensation would be substantial. The offer hung in the air like a challenge. Lisa's eyes widened, and I felt Richardson's gaze boring into me. I'm flattered, Mr. Hartwell. That's definitely worth considering. Excellent. We'll talk more after the presentations. Hartwell shook my hand again, then turned to Richardson. James, you've got a real talent here. I hope you're taking care of him. As Hartwell moved away, Richardson's mask slipped for just a moment. The look he gave me was pure venom. My office. First thing Monday morning, he said quietly. We need to discuss your future at this company. Lisa pulled me aside as Richardson walked away. Marcus, what was that about? The way he looked at you. That was Richardson realizing he might lose control of his pet project, I said bitterly. But that man, Mr. Hartwell, he offered you a job? This is incredible. Before I could explain the complexity of the situation, the lights dimmed and a chime sounded. The formal presentation was beginning. Sarah appeared at our table, her face flushed with excitement. Marcus, did you hear? They're announcing the new creative director position tonight. Jennifer from accounting, said Richardson's. Been interviewing candidates all week. My stomach dropped. The creative director position was everything I'd been working toward, a chance to lead strategy development, work directly with major clients, and finally get the recognition I'd earned. More importantly, it was the position I'd been promised. During my last performance review, who's he considering? I asked, though I dreaded the answer. That's the thing nobody knows. He's been really secretive about it. Lisa took my hand under the table. It has to be you, baby. Who else could it be? Richardson took the stage, his commanding presence filling the space as the crowd quieted. The presentation began with the usual corporate congratulations and milestone celebrations. I watched numbly as he highlighted the company's achievements, noting how he carefully avoided mentioning specific contributors to our success. This year has been exceptional for Morrison Associates, Richardson announced, his voice carrying clearly through the ballroom's acoustics. We've exceeded revenue projections, expanded our client base, and delivered innovative solutions that have set new industry standards. The PowerPoint slides behind him showed graphs and charts that I recognized, many of them from campaigns I'd designed. Yet my name appeared nowhere on the screen. Our success is built on strong leadership and strategic vision, he continued. Which brings me to tonight's most important announcement. My heart hammered against my ribs. Lisa squeezed my hand encouragingly, her face bright with anticipation. It gives me great pleasure to announce our new creative director, someone who embodies the values and vision that make Morrison Associates a leader in our field. The room held its breath, straightened my shoulders, preparing for the moment I'd worked toward for 3 years. Please join me in congratulating Bradley Morrison. The name hit me like a physical blow. Bradley Morrison, Richardson's nephew. fresh out of Northwestern with an MBA and exactly 18 months of experience. It's the same Bradley Morrison who'd needed my help to understand basic market research principles during his first week on the job. Lisa's gasp was audible. "What? That can't be right." The applause was polite but sparse. I could see confusion on many faces in the crowd industry professionals who knew the real source of our recent innovations. David Hartwell caught my eye from across the room, his expression a mixture of surprise and disappointment. Bradley took the stage, his boyish face beaming with unearned confidence. At 26, he was actually younger than me, but his last name carried weight that my 3 years of proven results apparently couldn't match. "Thank you, Uncle James Mr. Richardson," Bradley said, earning a few uncomfortable chuckles from the audience. "I'm excited to bring fresh perspectives to our creative initiatives and continue building on the foundation that our team has established." The irony was suffocating. The foundation he referenced was built entirely on my work, my strategies, my innovations. And now he would be my boss. Lisa's hand found mine under the table, squeezing tightly. When I looked at her, I saw my own shock reflected in her eyes, mixed with indignation on my behalf. "This is insane," she whispered. "Everyone knows you should have gotten that position." Sarah leaned over from the next chair. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. This is completely unfair." "Odd?" Richardson returned to the microphone, his smile triumphant. "We'll be working closely with our existing team to ensure continuity and growth. I'm confident that under his leadership, our creative division will reach new heights." The presentation continued with other announcements, budget allocations, new partnerships, expansion plans, but I heard none of it. My mind was reeling, trying to process not just the disappointment, but the calculated nature of the betrayal. During the networking break, I found myself standing alone near the windows, watching the traffic flow along Michigan Avenue. The city lights that had seemed so promising an hour ago now felt distant and cold. Lisa appeared beside me, her evening gown rustling softly. "Baby, I'm so sorry. This is so wrong. It's politics," I said, my voice hollow. "Or it doesn't matter when family connections are in play. So what do we do now?" Before I could answer, Jennifer Walsh approached, a senior partner at one of Chicago's most prestigious marketing firms. "Marcus, I wanted to tell you how impressed I've been with your work. The Hartwell campaign was particularly innovative." I managed. "I have to ask her, are you happy at Morrison Associates? Because if you're ever interested in exploring other opportunities, I'd love to discuss some possibilities." It was the second offer of the evening. Lisa's eyes lit up with possibility. "I appreciate that, Jennifer. Tonight has been illuminating." She handed me her business card. "Call me. I think you'd be surprised by what's available for someone with your talents." As the evening progressed, more people approached with similar offers. Word was spreading quickly through the industry crowd about what had happened with the promotion. The consensus seemed to be that Richardson had made a significant error in judgment. But Richardson himself seemed oblivious to the growing criticism. I watched him work the room, basking in congratulations for the company's success that was largely built on my innovations. The injustice of it all was becoming unbearable. 3 years of my life, countless late nights, innovative strategies that had revolutionized how we approached client campaigns, all of it dismissed for the sake of keeping power within the family. Lisa stayed close by my side, offering quiet support and occasionally engaging with the industry professionals who wanted to speak with me. Her pride in my accomplishments was evident, even as we both struggled to process the evening's betrayal. "Marcus," she said during a quiet moment, "you don't have to stay here. You have options now. Real options." I looked around the ballroom at Richardson holding court near the bar, at Bradley eagerly networking with potential clients, at the industry professionals who'd witnessed the injustice firsthand. "You're right," I said quietly. "I do have options. The question is, what am I going to do with them?" By 10:30, the crowd had thinned considerably, leaving only the most dedicated networkers and those like me who were too stunned to move. Lisa and I stood near the bar, nursing drinks we'd barely touched, watching Richardson bask in the congratulations of his peers. Bradley Morrison, my new boss, was making rounds, shaking hands and accepting praise for innovations he'd had nothing to do with. "I keep thinking this is some kind of nightmare," Lisa said quietly. "Like I'm going to wake up, and tonight will happen differently." "Unfortunately, this is reality," I replied. Watching Bradley stumble through a conversation about market analytics with a potential client, now I have to report to someone who doesn't understand the basics of what we do? "Though," Lisa said firmly. "You heard those offers tonight? Mr. Hartwell, that woman Jennifer, they all want you. You could walk out of here tonight and have a better job by Monday." The idea was tempting, but the practical side of my mind kicked in. "It's not that simple, Lisa. Richardson has connections throughout the industry. If I leave on bad terms, he could make it very difficult for me to find work in Chicago." "Maybe it's time to leave Chicago." The suggestion caught me off guard. Lisa had grown up here. Her family was here. Her job at Children's Memorial was here. The idea that she'd be willing to uproot her life because of my career struggles was both touching and terrifying. "Lisa, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering." She turned to face me fully, her dark eyes serious. "Marcus, I've watched you pour your heart into this company for 3 years. I've seen you work weekends, skip dinners, miss social events all, because you believed that hard work and talent would be rewarded. And tonight, they basically told you that none of that matters." Before I could respond, David Hartwell approached us again, his expression sympathetic but determined. "Marcus, I hope you don't mind the interruption. Lisa, it's a pleasure to see you again." "Not at all, Mr. Hartwell," Lisa replied graciously. "I wanted to follow up on our earlier conversation," Hartwell said. "I'm even more convinced that you're exactly what my organization needs. I'd like to make you a formal offer." The numbers he quoted made Lisa gasp softly. It was nearly double my current salary, with equity participation and a full benefits package. But more importantly, he was offering me the creative director position I'd been denied. "That's incredibly generous, Mr. Hartwell," I said. "I'd have to ask, aren't you concerned about Richardson's reaction?" He's been pretty clear about his intention to make things difficult for me." Hartwell's expression hardened slightly. "Marcus, James Richardson's reputation in this industry isn't what he thinks it is. Yes, he has connections, but most of them are based on his company's success that, frankly, has been driven largely by your innovations. People aren't loyal to him personally. They're loyal to results. But what about non-compete agreements, intellectual property concerns?" "I've had my legal team review your employment contract," Hartwell said. "It's surprisingly weak. Richardson was so confident in his control over you that he never bothered with restrictive covenants. You're free to leave and compete immediately." Lisa looked at me expectantly. The offer was everything I dreamed of: recognition, compensation, creative control. But making the jump felt like stepping off a cliff. "I need to think about it," I said finally. "Of course, but Marcus, don't think too long. Opportunities like this don't wait forever." As Hartwell walked away, Richardson's voice boomed across the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention for just one more moment." The remaining guests turned toward the stage, where Richardson stood with Bradley beside him. The older man's face was flushed with champagne and triumph, his silver hair catching the chandelier light. "I wanted to take a moment to recognize the hard work of our entire creative team," Richardson announced. "Their dedication and execution. The strategic vision we've developed has been exemplary." That word execution landed like a slap. I was an executor, not a creator, a tool, not a strategist. In particular, I want to acknowledge Marcus Peterson, Richardson continued, his eyes finding mine across the room. "Marcus has been instrumental in implementing our initiatives. He's shown real dedication to following direction and maintaining quality standards." The applause was polite, but sparse. Lisa's hand tightened on my arm, her indignation palpable. "Of course," Richardson went on, his smile widening, "success requires not just good execution, but also leadership, vision, and the ability to think strategically about market positioning. These are qualities that can't be taught. They're either innate or they're not." The implication was clear. I was a good soldier. But I lacked the natural leadership qualities that justified real responsibility. It was a masterful character assassination, delivered with a smile and wrapped in praise. "That's why I'm so confident that Bradley will excel in his new role," Richardson concluded. He brings not just technical competence, but also the strategic mindset that will take our creative division to the next level. Lisa was vibrating with anger beside me. He's doing this on purpose, she whispered. He's humiliating you in front of everyone. She was right. This wasn't just about the promotion anymore. Richardson was making sure everyone in the room understood. My place in the hierarchy valuable, but subordinate. Talented, but not leadership material. As the formal presentation ended and conversations resumed, I found myself walking toward the stage. I wasn't entirely sure what I intended to do, but my feet carried me forward anyway. Marcus. Bradley intercepted me halfway across the ballroom, his young face bright with excitement. I'm so glad you're here. I was just telling Uncle James, Mr. Richardson, how much I'm looking forward to working with you. The casual admission of nepotism was almost amusing. Congratulations, Bradley. I'm sure you'll do great things. Thanks. I know this. Might be a little awkward at first, but I really value your experience. I'm hoping you can help me get up to speed on some of the more complex accounts. The irony was staggering. The man who'd just been promoted over me was asking for my help to understand the job he'd been given. Of course, I said quietly. I'm here to help however I can. Great. Oh, and Marcus. I know you were probably hoping for this position yourself, but I want you to know that I think you're really talented, and there will be other opportunities. Maybe in a few years, when you've had more time to develop your strategic thinking skills. The condescension was unintentional but devastating. Here was someone who'd never had to earn anything, offering me career advice based on 18 months of experience and one family connection. Lisa appeared at my side, having followed me across the room. Bradley, congratulations on your promotion, she said, her voice carefully controlled. I'm sure Marcus's 3 years of experience building this department will be invaluable as you get started. The subtle emphasis on my experience versus his inexperience wasn't lost on Bradley, though he seemed confused by the undercurrent of tension. Absolutely, he said. Marcus has been doing great work. Following Uncle James's strategic direction has really paid off. That was the final straw. 3 years of my innovations being attributed to Richardson's strategic direction. Now his nephew was perpetuating the myth. Actually, Bradley, I said. My voice calm but carrying clearly, most of those strategies were my development. The Hartwell campaign, the Morrison Industries account, the demographic analysis framework, those were my innovations. Bradley's face flushed slightly. Well, yes, but under Uncle James's overall guidance, of course. Of course, I agreed. Just like tonight's promotion was based on merit, not family connections. The words hung in the air between us. Lisa's eyes widened slightly, and I could see other conversations nearby pausing as people picked up on the tension. Bradley's confusion was evident. Marcus, I don't understand why you're being hostile. I got this position because I'm qualified for it. You're 26 years old with 18 months of experience, I said, no longer caring who might be listening. I'm 28 with 3 years of proven results and innovations that have generated millions in revenue. But you got the promotion? Because your last name is Morrison. The nearby conversations had stopped entirely now. People were openly staring, sensing that something significant was happening. That's not fair, Bradley protested. I have an MBA from Northwestern. I've worked hard for 18 months, I interrupted. While I've been here for 3 years, building this department from the ground up, Richardson appeared as if summoned, his face dark with anger. Marcus, I think you've had too much to drink. Perhaps it's time for you to go home. Actually, I'm completely sober, I replied, turning to face him. I think it's time for some honesty about who's really been responsible for this company's creative success. The ballroom had gone quiet, the remaining guests sensing the confrontation that was building. Lisa stood beside me, her presence offering silent support. Marcus, Richardson said, his voice low and dangerous, you're way out of line here. This is neither the time nor the place. You're absolutely right, I interrupted. This isn't the time or place for honest conversation. That should have happened in your office, during my performance reviews, when you were making promises you never intended to keep. A murmur went through the crowd. I could see phones being discreetly pulled out, people sensing that they were, witnessing something that would be talked about for years. But since you've chosen to publicly diminish my contributions, I continued, I think it's only fair that I respond publicly. Everyone here knows the real source of our recent innovations. Everyone here knows that Bradley Morrison has been promoted not because of his qualifications, but because of his DNA. That's enough. Richardson's voice cracked like a whip. Sure. Terminated. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. The silence that followed was deafening. Lisa's hand found mine, squeezing tightly. This was the moment I'd been dreading and anticipating simultaneously.
Actually, I said my
Voice calm and clear. You can't fire me. Richardson's eyebrows shot up. Excuse me? I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope, a resignation letter I'd written 3 days ago, but never found the courage to submit because I quit.